Hello students. In fact, I have already given you exercise number 2 of lesson number 8, but some of you may not have understood the exercise as given there, and that's why I would like to explain it to you all. You must have come across some sentences in lesson number 8 spoken by the narrator, his mother, and the policeman. These sentences are wrongly spoken. Now let's try to see what mistakes these sentences have got and let's try to correct them. Number A, what you want. While dealing with the present simple, we have seen that whenever we make a question, we use the helping verb before the subject. But here, there is no helping verb before the subject you. And so the question is wrong. The correct question is, what do you want? What do you want? The second sentence is, stay here and watch him while he watch the bees. Again, while dealing with the present tense, present simple, we have seen that whenever we have the third person singular number subject, we have to use the third person singular verb. What used here is plural, whereas the singular verb is watches. Since we have the subject he, a singular subject, a third person singular number subject, and that's why it is wrong to use watch, but we have to say watches. So the correct sentence is, stay here and watch him while he watches the bees. Number C, I ain't had the time. Ain't is actually the short form of is not, am not, are not, does not, do not, but it is considered informal. It is not considered standard type English. And that's why it is wrong to say, or it is not very good to say, I ain't had the time. But we have to say, I don't have the time. Number D, what you does do, mister? Here again, it is a question, and whenever we make a question, the helping verb is used before the subject. But the helping verb used here is does. That is wrong. Why? Because we never use does with you. Moreover, this does or do is not placed before the subject. And that's why this question is wrong. We have to say, why do you cry? Why do you cry? Number F, when she not beating me. This sentence is also wrong. Why? Because we have seen that we have to use or is or are whenever we make a sentence in the present progressive, in the present continuous tense. Here the present participle is used, but there is no is are, and that's why it is wrong. So we have to say, when she is not beating me. Or it may be better to say, when she does not beat me. Number Z, Ma, you want to buy a poetry for 4 cents? Again, this is a question, and we have already said that whenever we make a question in any tense, we have to use the helping verb before the subject. But here, there is no helping verb used before the subject you. And so we have to say, Ma, do you want to buy a poetry? But again, poetry is an abstract noun. As the rule says that we do not have to use any particular article unless we specify it. And that's why it is wrong to say a poetry, but we have to say a poem, or without a, just poetry. So the correct sentence is, Ma, do you want to buy a poem for 4 cents? Or, Ma, do you want to buy poetry for 4 cents? Number 8, my mother say she ain't have 4 cents. I have already told you the meaning of the full forms of ain't. Now it is not very good to say she ain't, but we have to say she does not. Moreover, there is one more mistake, that is my mother say. Say is a plural verb, whereas the subject mother is a third person singular number subject. And that's why we have to say my mother says she does not have 4 cents. Number I, you really think I is a poet? Is never used with I. Whenever we use I as the subject in the present simple, and when we use the verb of incomplete predication, we use I am. And that's why it is wrong to say I is, but I am. Again, it is a question, and so we have to use a helping verb before the subject. The subject is you, there is no helping verb used before the subject, and that's why we have to say, do you really think I am a poet? Number J, you does write a lot then. The boy is asking B. Wordsworth a question whether he writes a lot then. Here also, it is a question, and that's why we have to use the helping verb before the subject you. And the helping verb here used is does, which is never used with you. With you, be it singular or plural, we have to use do. And that's why we have to say, do you write a lot then? Number K, you sell any poetry yet? We usually do not use yet with the present simple. In fact, the boy wants to ask B. Wordsworth whether he has sold any poem or not. And that's why we have to use the present perfect. And we have to say, have you sold any poetry, any poem yet? Number L, where you was. Was is never used with you. Was is singular, whereas you is either singular or plural. In either case, we use were. So, the question will be, where were you? For now, it's enough. We'll see some of the other things later.